And
When you say it's not like a money
we're
phone.
back.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeshivas Geulas Shaul. Wartime ZOOMSHTEIG number 111. 111 in the schus of the soldiers, in the schus of the captives. You know, they can't be learning Torah. People are fighting. A lot of the world doesn't know what's going on. Yeshivas Geulas Shaul. We're learning deep sugyas of Halakha Torah. And today is New Maisa, Hu Daisa. Where is Shleisa? Where's Schlegs? Oh, Tati. Luzmaz Tati. Yeshivas Geulas Shaul, wartime ZOOMSHTEIG number 111. Says Rivka. Gematria of Aleph. Okay. So, a new Maisa, Hu Daisa, Avu is Bar Lakaisha. The Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana L'Didi Chazili. Hahua Kraiksha. That was last Maisa. This Maisa. Amar Rabba Bar Chana Zimna Chada. One time Avaka and Zilna V'Sefinta. I was going in a boat. Rebbetzin, we're back to the boat sugyas. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the water. V'chazinon hahi kavra. And I saw a kavra. Now, it happens to be that I do not know exactly what a kavra is. A kavra, they talk about. When I was looking through Rabbi Nachman, and I was going through the Kutim Oran and looking and studying the parts of it that were talking about Rabba Bar Chana Maisas, I noticed you talk about kavra. I want to say it's a fish, but I have no raya for that. The word is kavra. I don't know what that could be. Oh, Secretary Zombie, Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shalom.
Yo, we're about to learn about Mommy Sugarfield. The fish. We're learning about a fish. A kavra. He says I was on a boat and I saw a kavra. The yasva lay akhla tina be'ustisiya ve'adchu maya ve'shadiyuhu leguda. An unbelievably difficult statement by the Gemara over there. Is kavra a fish? Has anyone heard the word kavra being fish? Does it remind me instead of the word beehive? We're learning about beehives. And I think the word in modern Hebrew for beehive is kiveret. So they're saying kavra. So I have no reason to think that the pshat is not bee, if anything. There is cobra, kavra, but this is with two vowels and not a base. But I like the way you're thinking about that's about the etymological sugya. So it's kavra. Tiyasvale akhla tina. Yo, hold on. Very important. I gotta just send a tig. RYNWB. Okay, sorry for that interruption. It was just crucial for sure. So the Yasvale, so already we have goes that Tiyunim here. It's not clear even what's being said. The Yasvale, let's see what the Heliga Rashbam says. By the way, Rashbam was Rabbeinu Shmuel. So let's see what Rabbeinu Shmuel says. Kavra. Zog the Rashbam, Kavra, Dag. I was not expecting that one. I really thought that it was going to be something with a beehive or something. Zog the Rashbam, Dag. Fish. Akhla, but why is the Kavra a dog? We still have to ask that. And why is modern Hebrew kaveret? And how even do you spell kaveret? Okay. The Yazvale Achlatina. So an Achlatina is a small creepy crawling. Maybe from, I don't know. That's just what the Rashbam says. Sheretz Katan. So on this fish, there was a small sheretz. Beustia. Before we get to Beustia, there's a goes Tziyunim. And he says Toast was he says Kukiani Tatiana, what was it say? Kukiani di Yazva the Ailile Tuna Beustia. So there's another girsa. That's the good news. The bad news is it's equally cryptic. And so we're not going to go to it unless like our girsa is like giving us a real trick. Let's just say this is not the last we've heard of the girsa in Tosfos and Chula and Samich Zayin Amud Beis. Not the last we've seen from this girsa in Tosfos. But our girsa says there was a bug, the Osia, Zak Rabbeinu Shmuel, the Rashbam. What's Osia? Osia. So the Rebbeinu says a sign. Not a bad guess. But here Osia is with a Samech. And she's thinking of Hebrew as it is meant to be spoken amongst the Yeshivas Welt in ice. But in this one, it's a Samech. Be'osia, it says, B'nechirav, shel dag nichnas asheret. The creepy crawly, let's say it's a mouse. The mouse, it went into the nostril. Osia is a nostril. It went into the nostril of the fish. The adchu maya. It says, "Venerally, the Hainu kill this." So he thinks that it's kill this. Oh, kill this. Echad bar lakisha. Where's Schligs over here to look up kill this? If maybe someone.
How do you spell it?
Oh, Tati. Gadol, the big honor. Kill this. Kuf Yud Lamed Beis Yud Tuf. I think it might be like some sort of seaweed or algae, but I'm blabbing so hard. Alma Shlosha Emos. Wait, before you say anything, let's finish the Rashbam. Kedamrina Ba'ala, you say in the world, Shlosha Emus Haim, Chalash al Gibor, Emus Kilba al Leviathan. So there are three things which are weak that are on a very strong thing. And one of these things that's weak on a very strong thing is kilvis on a Leviathan. So either a kilvis is like some sort of algae that's growing on it and has biosymbiotic things, Everton, has some sort of symbiotic thing, or it could be some sort of sea dog because of the word kilbis. But I'm going to blind schwer and let's see what my Tati discovered.
Kilbis is a small fish. Fish. That's what I have.
All right, we go with that. We'll go with it. So he says, what I think it's talking about this sheret, right? Because it's not, because it says the Rashbam, it doesn't make sense to say that you have a mouse living on a fish. As we know very clearly from BoJack Horseman, well, actually, I think the mouse does go out with a fish in that story. But in not BoJack Horseman, but in non-BoJack Horseman, you can't have a mouse living on a fish. One's a sea critter, one's a land critter. So he says, no, what is this fish that swam, that this sheret is a kilbis? It's some sort of symbiotic fish. Maybe not symbiotic. Here today, sponsored by Holy Jake Tons. What, you guys think since he's not here? I'm not going to go with Jews and Giroud to the max. But the mice, it has to drink. Hey, Jared. Give us the snake. Okay. We have to see that Gemara in Shabbos and of Ayin Zayin. I'm amazed to really get an idea what he's saying about the shaykhs of Kilbis. But now we'll go weiter to realness. Okay. So there was a fish, Atru Maya. Maybe that means that he sneezed. Atru Maya, Zog the Rashbam. Hidichu Amayim. Oh, so the water pushed him. Good thing we have the Rashbam. Ve'ishlichu, and it shot him. It shot him away. Kederach, excuse me. Kederach Yam she'eno sovel davar meis. The sea doesn't allow something to be dead. You have to always be moving to live in the water, right? Because the sea is always moving. We are living on a flat and stationary plane, Baruch Hashem, and so we stay still. Nothing's moving around us. Unlike the fish, that it's always moving, and so the fish always has to be moving. Dr. Remington, what about ether? A great question. So there's ether moving around us. So I'll say great question. We definitely need to look more into what ether is. But l'chora, ether doesn't have the power, without maybe the influence of Mercury, to move and to craft buildings like they're doing in Tartaria, possibly. But great question. So the water doesn't let something dead. So the water pushed the fish to the sea, to Gudas, to the seashore. And he destroyed it. It killed 60 cities, 60 provinces. But again, he's talking about 60. The akhla mina shitin mechuzeh. And he
Just
ate
one
from
other
them.
detail.
What?
It's called a stickleback.
All right, so I'm gonna write that down. A kilbis is stickleback in modern
Stickleback.
Hebrew. In modern Hebrew.
Oh, no, in the Gemara, this is talking about from Avodah Zarah.
It sounded familiar, this kilbis, huh? So hold on, so I'm gonna write a 2 over this kilbis. Todd, do you say stickleback?
Stickleback.
Does it have any symbiotic relationship with any fish?
If you find stickleback in fish brine, you can eat it.
That's what the Gemara says?
Yeah.
Gewaldic. So it's a kosher fish, this stickleback? That definitely will help us understand this Gemara.
The kilbith is a kind of stickleback which is supposed to breed only in brine, form with the clean species of fish.
Stickle big time, eh?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's what it was in the story. Anyways, they both get thrown onto the land and they kill 60 towns, or they smash it, they destroy it. And the rest, maybe they ate 60 other towns, or maybe we have to see what it means. Charuv minei, the akhlu minei was eaten 60 mechuzeh, the malchu minei, and it was salted from it 60 towns. The malu michad galgala de'ene plus me'agarbe mishra, and they took from one of his eyeballs. I think this means they filled from one of his eyeballs 300 sacks of oil because they had a very oily eyeball. V'chi hadran levazar tracer yarchi. And when they went back, where are they going back to? We have to see Rashi or the Rashbam. When they're going back after 3 months, or sorry, after 13 months for a year, tracer yarchi shata. So we just had daylight savings, did we not, Tati?
Say that again?
I said we just had daylight savings, did we not?
Yes, last night.
Okay, so one thing, we're aware that the Shibud's messing with us. That's the most we can do in this situation, unless we're gonna live like Nasan and just eat Afikoman in 1 second because you don't hold by daylight savings. But if we're gonna hold by daylight savings, we need to be aware that they're messing with their circadian rhythm. And over here, it says that there's 13 months in a year. Tresar Yarchi Shata. It also could be 12. And 13 could be Talesar. We'll say 12 months in a year. We'll say daylight savings is Shibud. But we'll say that we also have Rosh Chodesh Adar Rishon Adar Sheni is a month supposed to have 12 or 13, or supposed to switch it like it says in the Torah. That's the one. That's the MS one. Okay. So after a year, Chazina and the Havaka Minsuri Migarme Mitulalasa Vyazvi Limivininu Hanach Mechuze. It was after 12 months they went back and they saw Minsuri Migarme. They used the bones of this fish. This is probably a giant fish who had a small kosher fish in his bones. Plus Mea Garbe Mishcha. I'm sorry, and his eyes are so big, and they built a town out of him. A metalala is like a sukkah. It's like something to give shade. Metalala v'yazvizim and it stood for their builders. Maybe Hanach mechuzi. It stood for them. Amazing, by the way. They were talking about Tartaria, and we're talking about ancient architecture, and we're talking about building. We still have some Rashbams. Now I say again, Hecha Adbar Lakisha. Where's Sligs?
I'm gonna text him. Hold on.
All right, it's okay because we're still figuring out the sugya, so we'll fill them in no tig, and we're still trying to figure out. So it threw him onto dry land. It washed the shore. The fish washed the shore. So while it was it destroyed 60 towns, right? 60 provinces. But guess what? Yeah, it destroyed 60 provinces. But guess what? They ate those 60 provinces when it was still wet, when it was still juicy. Umalchu minei shitin mechuzei. Acherim shai rechokim misham malchu mimenu v'nosu mikoman. They took it. So by the way, for everyone in share, we've been talking about maybe preserving food, right? We're talking about preserving food, super chill Shabbos, making Shabbos maybe frozen, maybe air, maybe a vacuum sealed, maybe freeze dried, and talk about different ideas and different ways to spread kosher food to the world and to travelers and to preppers and to people who know a little bit about the sugya of the Shiva Malchus and want to be safe and want to make sure that they have a gefilte fish in their bunker, for example, that can last them half a year.
Amen.
Amen. So right here, the Gemara talks about preserving food. This fish was huge. Everyone who was around there, they were able to eat from the fish. But people who were far away, they would come and they would salt it, by salting the fish, the water, the salt, the H2O is dissolved in its bond with NaCl, and so the water is dissolved by the salt, and so it's much lighter to carry the fish back to home.
L'chayra, daylight savings time. Schlegs. He's an hour off.
No way. Daylight Shibuds.
Messing with shear.
Unbelievable. The Shibud Malchi is so evil.
Unbelievable.
Daylight. So we knew that daylight savings was Shibud. Messing with shear.
He's coming in a couple. He thought it was an hour.
Yeah. I texted with listen, at least we found it. Daylight saving. Okay, so people came and they were able to eat from this fish, even though it destroyed 60 towns, Mechuzi, Lachara's towns. And then when they went back the next year, wait, there's a Bach, it says the mace. So it died. The Bach telling us that it died. What? Tina Beuzia. I died. The maze. This giant fish died. It washed the shore. It washed the shore, and it destroyed 60 mechuzas. But guess what? It also fed 60 mechuzas that were close, and also 60 mechuzas that were far were able to salt it. And when they went back the next year, they built. Wait, Zakt Rashbam. Migago Aino Laklu Shaman, they have oil for 60 or 300 jars or whatever. Lashana Acher Zayu Minsuri Livnos Me'atzmos Hadag, they built from the atmos of the dag is Ozan Mechuze Shehipio. They were able to rebuild all of those cities. They were able to rebuild all of those cities. Listen, taking down the Shibud, and listen, it might be rough. I mean, right now they're causing like crazy roughness. But what with the UN being instrumental in October 7th, you tuned in to Yeshivas Geulas Shaul, you could know that we were saying that Israel has to leave the UN way before October 7th, but we're in Gemara right now. So the fish is the shibud, and it caused a lot of destruction, but in the end, all that they're doing from their carcass, from their demise, through the fact that we're learning Torah on the internet right now, that even though they put it to catch us, really, we're steiging, World Wide Web, here comes the spider, the Shibud Malchias, but we're learning from the Torah, and we'll be able to rebuild, and we'll be able to have great things. Like, thanks for doing some good research in certain sciences and bringing humanity along and certain inventions, you know? But obviously, so maybe that's the yid, the tiny kosher fish living in, but taking it out. And how does he take down the shiva? Through the nose. The nose, the one thing that was not nifgam in the Chet of Adam Harishon, the Besavim. And we're back!
And we're back.
And we're back. Wild sugyas. Wild sugyas. So I'll just bring Schligs into the, so you're right in the middle at the hardest part to like catch up. And we'll go from there. And the oil from the eye was enough to fill 300 jars of oil. From the eye of this giant fish. When they went back, they built it up of a talasa from the bones. And they built up Kol Hanach Mechuze, they built up civilization. They built up the 60 mechuzes that it destroyed when it washed ashore. Okay, Givaldic, and it rebuilt it. And so we learned the Gemara and we set up shot. But now we're going to see the Gemara again in honor of Schlegs and also in honor of that's exactly where we're going to go anyways in Derech Halimud. Because now we're going to see, now the Gra does not talk about it. So if it wasn't for Schlegs bringing to our attention that we have a Rebbe Nachman, what would we do? I would have to do something pretty shameful. I would have to no, it wouldn't be shameful. I would get a Marsha. You know? He'll go Marsha, he'll go you know, from Lublin, 1600s, right around the time that the Romanovs took power in Russia. Just saying. Okay. So this Rabbi Nachman, it's not starting with this Keta and Rabba Bar Chana, but we are. And so whatever he's talking about, it's in the sugya. He started this sugya with Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, Asher Otzicha be'eretz Yisrael ve'et avadim. I am Hashem your God. I took you out of Mitzrayim in the house of the avadim. And then he goes V'zeh Peirush, and that's shot. Amar Rabba Bar Chana, says Rabba Bar Chana, Zimna Chada. One time, Habaka as Lina and Bistifinta. One time I was going in a share. V'chazina nahu kavra. So Rabbi Nachman, when he spells kavra in the Sefer of Rabbi Nachman, it says kavra with only one vav, but there is nikudos here. So maybe he took some leg time. They took some liberties. Oh, so we don't know. Was this written by Rabbi Nachman or was this Rabbi Nasan?
Rabbi Nassan wrote his Torahs.
Gewaldig. Unbelievable. Rabbi Nachman had a Rabbi Nasan. And the Baal Shem Tov had a Maggid of Mezrich. And Shabtai Tzvi had Nasan from Gaza. Who did the Gain have? Yitzchak Isaac Chaver? Or Chacham Lublin, what's his name? There were some people the Gra had. But anyways, unbelievable. Rav Nassan really helped his Rebbe, get out his Torah. And what's very interesting is that we saw that idea, but that was by the Gra. And we know the Gra also, his Talmidim got out his Torahs. The Gra, he was able to steig and got out some. He wrote some sfar. He was able to get out what he could do. He was the Gra. He was going Ilam. But even the Gra wasn't able to publish all of his farim. And so the Kol HaTorah was published by his Talmidim. Especially even the Gedalim, in the Rishonim, they wrote their own farim. In the Achrayim, they did their best and their Talmidim helped them. The Achrayim is a group effort.
Wow.
it's you know, it's the Hasidic movement. You know, it's a group effort. You know, in the akhla they have Dalin Varekim. You know, Dalin Varekim. We're saying to Hashem, we're empty and lowly. Look at our generation. We're just. But hey, Mr. 111 days in the schuz of the soldiers, the schuz of the captives. We should see Geula Mamash Meir Ramenu.
Oh, man.
Zakt Kavra, like there was a fish. We said, why is Kavra a fish? Or Pam says, the Yazvalei akhla Tina. There was a small stickle mickle that was on him. Tati, what was the word? A stickleback, my father said. There was a small stickleback.
You said that this whole generation is empty spiritually, but isn't that what Hashem needs to fill us up? If we were,
it's words like that. Mamish. We should be Zaycha. You know, we should be Zaycha to be Zimale with Kaira. So anyways, on this fish, there was this stickleback. There was this other fish, a tiny fish. It says maybe it was a sheret. Maybe it was like a lobster. We don't know. It was a sheret. Maybe it was a shrimp. He says, no, it's a stickleback. Like, okay, we don't know what's a stickleback. We don't know. It was something. And one day, it went into his usia. It went into his knife. It swam into his nose. The fish went. Dead. Khalil's. This poor fish. It went into the fish. So it went into the nose of this fish. Like we're going to go into the nose of the shibud. We were saying there's a possible shot. And kill it from within. Because my dad looked up this kilbis, and my dad found a Gemara that says that you find kilbis amongst your other fish, whatever, blah, blah, it's kosher. So we're like, oh, whatever the fish this is, it's a tiny fish, but it's a kosher fish. And then, so it's negligible. But it took down the giant fish. And the giant fish, when the shibud, listen, we hope the shibud just dies in their place, right? And it just, all we have to do with it is feed their body to the animals. But they might not go down so easy, and it might cause a little bit of destruction. And so in that destruction that will be involved in a geula that is be'ita, that it's going to be tough. We pray and daven that's geula achishena. But in the be'ita, the geula, it could be that so even if you kill the shibud and you destroy the shibud from within it flew into the nose, take the shibud down from within. Idchu maya, so the water through the fish. Idchu amayim nishchuli abashu kederech yam sheino sovel davar meis. You can't have a dead thing in the water. The water, you got to keep moving. More music to make. And Leguda sends him to the shore. It destroyed 60 mechuzas. But they ate 60 other mechuzas, or maybe it was the people who had their house destroyed. They're able to feed and sustain themselves from all the food. And even if their houses weren't so destroyed, but still they're able to come in and get things. We're talking about food preservatives. This is molchu, that they added salt to make it lighter to carry. So Vimalu Michad Galgal, they got from one giant eye, they got 300 jars of oil. And then when they came back a year later, they saw that they rebuilt it down with the skeleton of the fish. That is the Maisa, and there's no gain.
It's quite a Maisa.
That's the Maisa, and there's no gain, but there is a Rebbe Nachman.
Amazing.
All right. Hey, look at Rebbe Nachman.
We got 10 men.
Perfect to start Rebbe Nachman. Perish, Safina, is Lashon Chashivas. If it's a Safina, it's Lashon Chashivas of importance. Bechinas Malchus. The Bechina of Malchus. Okay, great. The ship is Malchus. Rabba Bar Bar Chana Chakar B'Sichlo Odos Malchus. So he's saying that, so the Rabbi Nachman is saying a pshat that we never heard yet. What does it mean that he's going into the Sfina of the Bechina of Malchus? It means that he's thinking with his brain about Malchus. Eich b'nei Israel Malchus. How could b'nei Israel lift up Malchus? You know, we can do it on Shabbos, but how we can do it during the week? How can we weiter elevate Malchus to be misdavig with Zorampin? How can we raise Malchus Hashem ba'olam? That's more pshat, more pashut pshat. The Chazina and I cover saw fish. He says Yisrael mechunasim mechunim b'shem tagim. Am Yisrael is called in the name of fish. Kimo shekazov, like it says, v'yid gularov, b'kerev haaretz. So you should be like fish. The Yazvale akhla tina b'nechirav, you have a little sheret in his nose. Ki ze bechinas tfilatim shel Yisrael. That's talking, that little sheret is talking about the prayer of Am Yisrael. Kimoshe Gazov, like it says, Vati lazi echtam lach. My tefillah to you, I will nose for you. Oh, Rebbetzin, where's the Tanakh that we got? Inside? Could you please, studio of side. But I want to make you leave. It's good? Okay, shkir gods. So now we gotta look that up, that pasuk in Yeshayahu. I guess we could say in the meantime, Shleik, you wanna look up Yeshayahu Memchesh, try to find that time. No press though.
Gotcha.
Shetnis Arev Sheret. I know Tuma. So there's a little bit of Tuma that got mixed into the tefillah. The tefillah of Avodazo Bevilbel also. It mixed him up, his tefillah and his avodah. It got mixed up. The fish is Am Yisrael, says Rabbi Nachman, not like I learned, by the way.
Kulanu amech tzadikim.
What?
Kulanu amech tzadikim. And fish are compared to tzadik.
Fish is compared to tzaddik, you say? Everybody say?
I'm saying fish is compared to tzaddik. And kulanu amech tzadikim. So I could see the ZOOMSHTEIG there.
Ah, fish compared to tzaddik. Where's fish compared to
Their
tzaddik?
eyes are always open.
Oh, exactly. The Biala Rebbe said that fish can't get ayin hara because it can't close its eyes, and also Yosef HaTzadik was we learned could not get ayin hara. So you could say tzaddik is like a fish. A fish is like a tzaddik, and kulanu amech tzadikim.
Yeah.
So everybody in our nation is a tzaddik.
So we're all a bunch of fish.
We're all fish over here.
Over here, just swimming along the Yam of
Also,
Talmud.
fish in the water and in Mayim El Torah.
Over here. And
Wait.
Also, no nigzera gezera al dagim shebayam. There was no flood. It didn't affect them. So they have the original. Yeah. They have the original Peru review from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not the second post Mabu Peru review.
Wow.
If we're talking about fish over here, so it just says memches. It just says memches. And so, but in Memches, it talks about my prayer is a nose. Then his Arab shares, but the tefillah had a little bit of tuma in it, and a tuma in his avodah, and it confused him. He couldn't do his avodah. He couldn't do it. Pasha, perfect. You can do it perfect. Now, what does he do? I did the three things above. Ḥana, his kashrus la tzaddik is first being miskasher with the tzaddik. Speaking of the Biala Rebbe, where the Biala Rebbe is told to, and it says the first thing to do is to be miskasher to a tzaddik. So shout out to the Biala Rebbe. Vinasinas tzedakah, giving tzedakah, and also vidoy spasayim is admitting like when we're wrong and doing vidoy. Okay. Now that is not how I learned. That's not how I learned. So now we have two ways to learn. I think that the way that we learned in yeshiva that the dog is the shibud and the kosher fish went into the nose. But Rabbi Nachman is learning that the big fish is Am Yisrael. So, but how is it going to go? We talked about that it destroyed a city. How is Rabbi Nachman going to see it? Okay, the way that I explained it was very nice. That we're going to build from the ashes of this shibud, but we're going to use some of like the good that they brought into the world. That that we're going to use that to make even from their we're still going to use their roads after we destroy the shibud malchus. We're going to say Shkaya Kado on this amazing infrastructure, which you guys probably stole from Tartaria anyways.
Amazing.
So hold on. So how much time do we got left?
4 men, 3.5.
The Zeb Erosh, the Mesa. So it died. What? The Mesa. Doesn't say the Mesa. Rabbi Nachman just adds this the Mesa, which we don't have in our Girsa, but we saw it on the Girsa of brought in the Bach.
Wow.
Okay. The Mesa, the Idchu, Maya, Vishadyu, Leguda, sent him on to dry land. The Izgir, Ashalosh Bechinos, Me'ela, Lesata. So we have 3 Bechinos from top to bottom. It's saying a Yid that has a sheretz in his Avaida. His Avaida is good. He's doing his best. But listen, it's not perfect. Rabbi Nachman, was he talking about himself? We know Rabbi Nachman was very critical of himself. And if he wasn't, Rabbi Nachman saying there's a Yid who's not perfect out there. I don't know if anyone here could identify with the Yid not being perfect, but we all steigen down at our own levels. And so Rabbi Nachman, the Heilige Rebbe, is going to tell us how to think about it. Going to give us an eitzah. Umesa, so it died. The death is admitting it with the words. Anyone who gets put in cherem, they have to do vidoy. I think that's what it means. The mesa is vidoy devarim. The idchu maya and the water pushing you, that's tzedakah. Cast your bread on the face of the water. Fortunate are those who plan to zor on all mayim. I know we saw that Gemara, so that pasuk once before in Yeshivas Geulas Shaul history. V'shadyu leguda, and it put him on the dry land. It says Hatzadik is called a Guda. You know what I was thinking about Guda? You know why I said Guda was the sea? Was a sea? I was thinking about God. I was thinking about God Yagud. What does he say? He says the Tzadik is called Guda.
1 minute.
I hope that share was very good. We stopped the sugya of Kuda. We started a new sugya, and it's so gishmak. We saw the whole entire Gemara, even saw some Rabbi Nachman, saw some Girsas, snagged it out, and had a lot of fun. Tomorrow we'll go weiter, and maybe we'll see the Maharsha this week, because we are lacking the Heilig again. And then eventually we'll see it again and again, because we live in Torah, we learning Gemara, so we could do Chazara.